I recently found myself trying to explain exactly what my weekend of gaming is going to look like to my confused coworkers. You see, I'm staring down the barrel of 3 weeks of RuneScape Bingo, old school's most exciting and intimidating clan competition. For those in the know, it means several days of lost sleep, extreme gaming hours, and team-based PvM challenges. If you're not familiar, here's notable bingo enthusiast Lone Gym Rat to explain.
A RuneScape bingo is very similar to a regular bingo, except you're replacing all the tiles on the board with anything RuneScape related. Now you can either do a PVM drop, you can do an experience requirement, you can do a challenge, you can do a PVM challenge, you can do a speedrun trial, and the objective is to either win with the most bingo points or complete the entire board. And the first team to do so wins.
Lone Gym Rat has been in more bingos than he can remember, including hosting over 10 events himself, but it wasn't always a smooth experience. I asked him about his first ever bingo back in 2020.
It was 9 days, and I remember playing like 15 hours a day, and the first couple of days were fun, but eventually we were stuck on Sire, and it felt like I was working 9 to 5. Like I would wake up and just do Sire, and then turtle skip for a Sire task. Looking back, it was still fun because I did grind like bosses and stuff, but I think I just I don't think bingo should be something where you play like a complete maniac. I think you should still try to find a balance out of it.
Wait, 9 days? Can you imagine playing bingo for 9 days? These days competitors like to push the boundaries of long hours and lost sleep, but if we did that for 9 days, I'm pretty sure we would go crazy. But bingo, it wasn't always like it is today, with our short timelines and our huge teams. I hunted down some information on the first ever bingo held by Oblivion in 2018. This was a solo competition where players struggled to finish even a few tiles. On this board, we can see one player's progress after 2 days, with only 4 of 24 tiles filled in. Each tile has point values assigned, and it's pretty much just get as much points as you can, with a bonus for filling up a row, column, or a diagonal. While this is a standard format these days, this was brand new back then, and the hours assigned to each tile varied wildly. On the top right corner, we can see one tile listing either a warrior or berserker ring, about 64 Rex kills on average, or a Saradomin hilt, about 512 Ziliana kills on average. And not only that, the warrior ring is part of a value about diagonal, making it even more worth going for. As the first ever bingo board, it's got some good variety, especially considering that the Theater of Blood had only just come out, so Chambers, Slayer, Wildy Bosses, and Zola were considered the peak of farmable PvM. Even for a clan like Oblivion, Inferno and Theater of Blood were not yet accessible enough to be part of a competition like this.
I don't want to offend anyone, but I don't think Oblivion is a good example for most clans in RuneScape. Oblivion is the top end in terms of PvM. So I think the person that designed this board did not necessarily know what to assume in terms of hours for designing a board, as it was obviously the first one. You have to assume how many hours each player is going to play, and then design your board accordingly. As a solo player to do a board like this, that is brutal. That's a lot of hours.
The event was a hit, and quickly inspired others to make their own. Solitary, an Iron Man PvM clan, hosted their own bingo only a month after the finish of the Oblivion one, but this time it was a team event. Players gathered in teams of 7 to take on a 6x6 board totaling 32 tiles. And this time, there were no points for individual tiles. The timeline was 2 weeks, and the goal was simple: finish the whole board. With the team format and the bigger board, variety was key. New staples like any Theater of Blood unique and any boss pet promised a challenge for anyone not ready with the skills or the hours to commit, while stranger entries like a Dark Bow, Clue Scroll items, and a Revenant unique encouraged a variety of playstyles when drafting teams. The winning team Butt Plug Gang took about 1 week to finish the entire board, with the last 2 drops coming in on the 8th day. The Wilderness Ring, which was gotten from a Varrock kill on Venenatis, and the Armadillo Helmet being the last 2 items. The team bingo format had some notable advantages over solo, being that the variance of luck smoothed out at least a little bit, and the teamwork effect boosted the morale.
If you have a good team captain that keeps everyone motivated, you can still push through that misery. But if you have a bad team captain that just says, screw this, I'm done, it's over. Like one captain we have in our clan, Trexie, like that guy, like super all in, and it doesn't matter if he's losing by like 10,000 miles, he's gonna full send regardless, and that like kind of like shines on everyone else in the team, as opposed to other captains where they get demotivated and they put that demotivation to their teammates.
Having a good team captain can make all the difference when you're faced with the swings of fortune one way or another. And teams quickly realize that long hours doesn't guarantee a win. Luck always plays a factor, and the best captains keep their teams grinding until the luck finally comes through.
It's either gonna be like one team completely demolishes the other team, and it's not even fun, or it's gonna be very neck and neck. So far, the last few events I've done have been really neck and neck, but we've had a few bingos where one team was just like, they just kept getting drops for a night and took a massive lead. And one thing to note too about like the psychology behind it, like if the other team streaks drops and your team doesn't, your team loses morale. So you lose motivation to grind more, which just makes it like a spiral downwards as opposed to their team where they spiral upwards. So it just creates like a bigger gap between both teams.
Oblivion's second bingo followed later that year, copying the team format from Solitary and using a lot of the same tiles from their own solo bingo, upgraded to match the team environment. They also threw some fun wrenches into the works by requiring every team member to get an Infernal Cape for one of the tiles, and the competition ended with one of the teams completing every tile, just like in Solitary, and it seemed the format was set. Then things really took off. Oblivion's status as the top PVM clan in the game, as well as having several clan members who streamed on Twitch, brought bingo into the spotlight. By 2020, every clan was doing bingo. There was PVM bingo, skilling bingo, Barrows bingo, mid-level bingo, bingos that combined all of the above categories. The list was endless, and the format started to change as well. Organizers added tiers to the tiles, letting you choose to keep going for more points. Boards started to change shape, abandoning the traditional grid. New content drops like Nightmare, Hydra, and Hard Mode Tob pushed the limits of requirements and skill, and people started grinding harder and harder than ever before.
Some people were going pretty crazy hours. Like I know some people were getting like 110, 120 EHB, efficient hours boss, in a week, which is nuts because it's very hard to maintain one-to-one. But like I know for myself, like I can typically maintain degenerate hours for like 2 days, and then afterwards it's just a massive drop off. And that's why I think bingos should be 2 to 3 days as an optimal duration. Anything beyond that, you're just hurting yourself, your mental health and your physical health as well. Like I've heard stories of people in Oblivion playing 30 hours straight just doing corp or doing a raid, trying to get a drop for their team. And even in our clan, I've had people just not sleep. Like I know this guy called Pyro, he did like a 24-hour and just did Wildy content all night and just didn't sleep.
The process was refined naturally by trial and error, and despite the pandemic giving people lots of time to play, it became pretty clear that most people like to go harder for shorter times. In modern days, it's rare to see a bingo last more than 3 days, and usually they're taking place on the weekend. But the format hasn't gotten any simpler. Here's an example from Lone Jim Rat's own event that he cooked up for Iron Clan, his current clan. It's called The Race, version 4.
Okay, so the way this works is there's two teams. You can see the circle of barrels. The top is red team, the bottom is blue team. And the goal is to get to the finish line, which is all the way on the right. And you basically move through this flowchart. Now, initially, everything's supposed to be blacked out. If you get the tile, you unlock the one following it and you see it, but also the other team sees it. What's cool about that is if your team is leading, the other team that's behind gets an advantage to help them keep up with you. You never know what path is more efficient. To win this event, you have to get 2 paths all the way through. The last tile at the end was to get a mega layer, but initially that tile was supposed to be 2 out of 3 mega layers. But since on Sunday morning or Saturday night, we noticed that no team got there, I secretly changed it to 1 out of 3, knowing that no team was probably going to finish. But if a team ended up stooling it, I would have kept it as is.
If that didn't make a lot of sense to you, you're not alone. Complicated bingos are fun though, and they make each event require unique strategies and teamwork, and give it a lot of character. My bingo this weekend is similar. It's what we're calling a snake bingo, meaning that to win, you have to connect the beginning and end of the path, instead of needing to do every tile, but there's still choice along the way. Of course there are tiers, points, and other details, but I'm leaving those for my team captains to worry about. For me, I'm here to grind a lot of hours, get mad at other people's luck, and hopefully make some friends along the way.
I think bingo is good for you to do, and I don't think it matters if you're a low level or a high level or a clogger, skiller. I think it's cool because you get to play ideally with a team, you get to share a common goal of winning, and you also get to progress your account without actually thinking about progressing your account. Like if, for instance, there's a tile to do Serb, And while doing Serb, you get a unique that can help your account maybe make money, maybe fill up the collection log. It's something that you get without actually grinding it. And I've gotten a lot of collection log broadcasts through bingos, just bosses I would never have done usually. And it's always a lot of fun. I'd recommend at least trying one. And try to find the clan that hosts events. They're fun to do. They're a nice change of pace. And I don't think you'll regret it.
Thanks so much to Lone Gym Rat for stopping by for this video, and thank you guys for listening. Tried to do something a bit different with this one, kind of stepped up the editing, and it took me a long time, but I really liked it, and I had a lot of fun. I'm going to be playing bingo all this weekend, and I encourage you guys to check it out whenever you get the chance. But until next time, peace.